Hi friends, so today we're talking about the nervous system and what it means to co-regulate. What do I mean when I say co-regulate? So what happens in our nervous system is we have one part of the nervous system called the parasympathetic nervous system that is constantly looking out for danger and constantly assessing the situation, taking in all sorts of data through our nerves, sending it up our spinal cord to our brain, and our brain decides, is this a threat? Is this not a threat? What do I have to do with this information? And then send signals back down our nerves, telling our body and different body parts what to do. Okay, and so the parasympathetic nervous system is the part of the nervous system that we don't really have control of. It's just there and constantly looking for threats and responding. Okay, and there's four main ways that we respond, our body responds. There's fight, there's flight, there's freeze, and there's fawn. Okay, so those are one of the four ways that our body is kind of primed to protect itself. Okay, so when we are triggered, what it's meaning is that our parasympathetic nervous system is saying danger, and we go into one of those four modes of self-preservation, protection, defensiveness, okay? And that's great. Like, we want to, respond in cases of danger and be safe and, stay alive. But the problem is, for a lot of us, what ends up happening is we have experienced things in our past. Our nervous system has maybe been overloaded at times. Maybe we're not functioning all healthily because we haven't been getting enough sleep, all different sort of things. And sometimes, especially in our culture, we have a really high stress environment. We live very busy lives. We live very constantly having information coming at us, so that our nervous system is almost always on guard. Okay, and what ends up happening is the more we use nerves and use certain pathways that our nerves follow, the stronger and the more automatic they become. Like, they just get faster and stronger and faster and stronger the more that we use them, and they become automatic. Well, they already are automatic, but they become stronger and faster. I guess I've said that already, but what I mean to say is that they just become more and more habitual, and it becomes more and more our go-to, if that kind of makes sense. So what we want to do with regulating our nervous system is start buffering down that parasympathetic nervous system and start activating the sympathetic nervous system. And I think I mixed that up. The sympathetic nervous system is the one, I was on such a roll. Okay, the sympathetic nervous system, I said the wrong one the first time. The sympathetic nervous system is the one that's the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, okay? And then the parasympathetic nervous system is the one that we want to start activating by regulating our nervous system, okay? And the parasympathetic nervous system is the one that helps us rest and digest. If you ever have like an upset stomach because of nerves, that's very connected to our nervous system, and being having that sympathetic fight, flight, freeze, fawn response can really affect our gut health and our digestion and stuff. So when we are triggering the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest nervous system, that's when we are able to have a sense of safety, have a sense of calm, have a sense of I'm okay, I am safe. I am a leader in my home. I am an adult in this situation. I am making and responding to my child in a way that I choose, not in a reactive way that is triggered by past trauma and triggered by my frustration and my anger and everything that is coming up. Okay? So what we want to do then is we want to start building those nerve pathways and strengthening our parasympathetic rest and digest. Still can't believe I said that wrong, but I'm not redoing this video because there is some gold in here already. Making that parasympathetic nervous system stronger and more prevalent day by day by practicing the activities that I'm going to be posting in the group that you can find on the website. There's at least 5 every week, and there's different strategies to try to support your nervous system, okay? So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are constantly we're coming up against, our nervous system is coming up against, and can kind of overstimulate our nervous system and cause that sympathetic fight, flight, flee, or fawn protective mode, okay? So just think about some of these things that might be affecting you, okay? And affecting your nervous system and causing you stress. Things like hunger. Have you ever heard of being hangry? Because I get that, and I'm always like, oh, okay, I need to eat, so I'm not hangry, mom. All right, like simple things like the temperature in the room, the cold and heat, lack of sleep, loud noises, crying babies, physical pain. How many of us parent through physical pain during our periods, postpartum, breastfeeding? That's all factoring in to all of this information and load that your nervous system is carrying. Anxious thoughts, intrusive thoughts, feeling touched out, lack of alone time, childhood trauma. There's tons and tons of things that play a role and can be taxing on our nervous system. So what we want to start doing is just becoming aware of some of those things for ourselves and start realizing when those are happening and meeting our needs so that we can regulate our nervous system so our body has what it needs to function properly and be caring for ourselves so that we can care for our kids. All right, so what are the different responses our nervous system has to that watching for danger? All right, that sympathetic nervous system has one of those 4 different responses, right? Fight, which would be the yelling, the hitting, the throwing things, that kind of thing, okay? That's a response that's trying to protect us, okay? Number 2, the flight, running away, leaving the room, ending relationships, just stopping everything, okay? The next one would be freeze. And freeze is something like, I experience this like when all my kids are crying at the same time and it's really overwhelming. I kind of just get stuck. Like I just kind of sit there with a stunned look on my face for a while, and then I'm like realize, oh, I'm the adult. I'm the one who's supposed to stay calm. I'm supposed to be reassuring. I'm supposed to be the leader and help them navigate all these difficult emotions. So I need to regulate my nervous system and look after everybody and be the leader in my home, okay? And then the last one is fawn. So fawn is a lot of people pleasing, and it can look like, trying to avoid confrontation, giving your kid everything he wants so he doesn't have a meltdown, that kind of thing. And that is something that I have to watch out for too. I mean, we have to watch out for all of these ones. Usually we have a mixture of 3 or 4 or all of them. And they'll be triggered by different things depending on the situation. But just to start paying attention to how you're responding and being intentional instead of reacting is the biggest thing there. So the sooner we can start becoming aware when those responses are coming up in us and start redirecting and trigger and activating that vagus nerve, that is the big part of the parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system, the more powerful and the quicker we are going to be able to co-regulate and regulate our nervous system. If you have any questions at all, let me know. This is kind of a lot for the first video, but it is so important. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how does all this information affect our parenting, okay? So when I say co-regulating is when we practice regulating our nervous system with our kids or with somebody else. And that's why I created this program, so that we could practice regulating together as a group and co-regulating. So co-regulating as adults, as moms together, but then also practicing it at home with our kids. And we can do all of these strategies that I'm sharing in this program with our kids. But some of them I think are more effective on our own, and some of them are more effective with our kids. You get to decide. You are the leader in your home. You are the motherly intuition, and you get to try things and decide what's best. All right, so when we are dysregulated and we're feeling the anger, the frustration, the whatever we're feeling, the mom guilt, we are quicker to snap. We are in a reactive state rather than, choosing and responding in a calm way. We're just reacting to the situation, reacting to the meltdowns, reacting to the kids whining, reacting to the yelling, reacting to the messes. So we're living from a place based in fear, defensiveness, and a feeling of threat. And because we are the leaders in our home and the adults in our home, our kids are living in that same feeling. Okay, that's why it's so powerful when we decide to regulate our nervous systems. So our kids pick up on the dysregulation, which triggers behaviors in them. Plus, they have about 1 million of their own little feelings and frustrations they are trying to figure out. So when they start crying because they didn't get the purple cup, that's them trying to regulate their nervous system, but it often triggers us into maybe a fight response, reacting from a fight mode, and we yell back, and then it becomes this vicious cycle. Okay, so who can relate to that? I've definitely been there. Let's go through another example here. So here's an example. So your child wants to do some coloring, and you're like, okay, here you go. And they're coloring on the paper, and about 3 seconds later, they're wandering around trying to draw on the walls. And you're like, no, we only draw on paper, not on the walls. And they start pushing back on that boundary, and they're saying no, and start yelling and throwing the marker and trying to hit you in their frustration. And in that moment, with them doing all that wild stuff that toddlers do, my nervous system goes wild. I am feeling anxiety, I'm feeling frustration, I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling a lot of energy pent up in my body, and I am feeling this triggered response from my own childhood, where any kind of hitting, throwing, yelling, disobeying was shamed and punished, and I was spanked or threatened to be spanked because it was seen as bad behavior. All right. So what I need to do instead of what that triggered feeling says I should do is I want to regulate my nervous system and respond in a gentle, emotionally intelligent, calm way. And I can't do that if I am like full of this angry energy. So one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to step away and I'm going to pump out 20 jumping jacks. This powerful, big, huge jumping jacks, 20 jumping jacks. And this cat thinks she needs to be here all the time. Okay, and then once that energy is out, then I can come back. Sometimes that has to happen, especially if you're feeling that triggered response, and that's okay. Okay, and obviously I don't want my kid to hit or throw things because it's not safe. So instead of focusing on punishing the bad behavior, or labeling as like, yeah, it's bad, don't hit, good, bad boy, I focus on honoring the frustration, honoring the disappointment, honoring the overwhelm of anxiety and anger in my child and in myself. Okay, so whenever I'm able to, I create a safe place for myself and for my child to express their frustration, learn how to manage their anger in a healthy way, and figure out our boundaries. What are our boundaries? What are we willing to, what are they, how do they want to be treated? How do I want to be treated? How do we express that in a safe way? How do we, figure out what that is as a family and allow that to happen? So some ways that we can do that, honoring frustration, honoring the child's disappointment, that kind of thing, can simply be stating it. It's frustrating not being able to try something you want to do. I see you're angry. It's okay to be angry. I can't let you hit, so I'm going to, hold your arm so everybody's safe. And lots of times kids just need time to express their frustration and their anger. So having that safe place for them to cry, to scream if they need to, is totally good for them. And that means our job is just to sit there and be there for them if they ever need us. And that's super hard for me to do. I'm still practicing that, because a lot of times I think that it's my job to, stop the crying or, fix the problem. That fawn response starts kicking in, like I gotta make him happy again. I gotta distract him. I gotta do that. It's okay for them to cry. And it's okay for us to just sit there with them. And neither of my kids really like being held or like hugged if they're feeling really angry or really frustrated. So just sitting there with them is something that I'm working on. Just sitting there and being like, I'm here if you need me, kind of thing. And honoring them as they cry and scream and move however they need to move to get that emotional energy out. All we have to do is be there for them and regulate our own nervous systems, because that can be tough. So sometimes if I'm sitting there and I'm trying to create that safe place for them, I'm sitting there and doing some breath work or doing some tapping, okay? It's not easy. Like I said, we have that strong sympathetic nervous system that's saying fight, flee, whatever, freeze, fawn, like you got to do it. You got to keep yourself safe. And we know that we aren't in real danger, but our body is thinking, you know, you got to do something, you got to do something, you got to do something. So that's when we really need to dig into the tapping or the breathing or whatever exercise seems to be working for you at the time. All right. So in this program, we're going to be learning different ways to regulate the nervous system, activate that vagus nerve in the parasympathetic nervous system, and co-regulate with our kids. Okay, so there's going to be some stuff on emotional intelligence for yourself and for your kids. I want to do a little bit on play as well, how we can co-regulate with our kids using play, which is so cool and so powerful. So those will be later videos that you can watch. So there's two different kinds of ways that we support our nervous system. I like to talk about, one is like supporting our nervous system when we're triggered and we need to regulate it. And then there's ways that we regulate our nervous system just to support it and support that rest and digest and help it become stronger and support it that way. All right, so some of these strategies that I'm sharing in the program can be used either way, but I encourage you to use at least one of the strategies every single day, as often as you can, so that you can start seeing how they work, so you can start seeing how it affects your nervous system, that kind of thing. Okay, and like I said before, like there's things that are triggering our nervous system and taxing our nervous system, like not eating enough. So it could be argued that if we're hungry, regulating our nervous system would mean eating a healthy meal and drinking a glass of water. It's definitely important to care for ourselves as moms. All right, so we've got a few minutes left, and I want to share the 4 steps to co-regulating. And it's super simple. The first one is becoming aware of our body and our triggers, what's going on, scanning our body, figuring out what's going on, and noticing more early when, when we're about to explode or when we're about to lose our cool and take it out on our kids, and noticing things about our body that are affecting us. Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit. So becoming aware of our body and our triggers. There's so much that can affect our body and our triggers. There's childhood trauma. Our nervous system stores memories. So as we are parenting and these situations are coming up, it also often triggers our own childhood memories, and they start coming up more often. I also believe that when our brain rewires during pregnancy, because there's lots of studies that have been done that show that our brain rewires so that we're able to handle the steep learning curve of new mom life. I believe that that kind of brings to the surface a lot of trauma that has happened in the past, so that we can heal it. So that is an opportunity for you to heal. And I'm not a trained therapist, but I do believe in the power of self-compassion and my tapping script. So if you need a safe place to vent, let me know. But I am not a trained therapist by any means, or a counselor. So if you need that, I encourage you to do that. Okay, so things that can trigger us: childhood trauma. Lack of sleep is a huge one. If we are not getting the rest that we need, the sleep that we need, our nervous system is not able to say, I am safe, I can rest, I am digested, because it's constantly being overrun by adrenaline and lack of exhaustion and stress and all of these things. So lack of sleep, crying and other loud noises, mom guilt and other toxic thought patterns, basic needs not being met, hunger, food, water, sleep, shower, feeling touched out. If you have constant demands for your attention, lots of interruptions, having to make lots of choices during the day, hello mom life, right? They can all start taxing your nervous system, wearing it down, starting to feel more and more frustrated, more and more stressed out. What other things? Mess, clutter, ongoing to-do list, lack of movement, the weather, our hormonal cycle and our menstrual cycle have a huge impact on our energy levels and our hormone levels. So what we're able to cope with physically and in our nervous system is going to be different in the different times of the month. The list can go on and on and on and on and on. And remember, we aren't just managing our own self, then we get to think of all of those things for our kids as well. All of those things are affecting our kids. So when we start thinking about why is he having a meltdown? There's tons of different reasons why his nervous system or her nervous system is completely out of whack. Okay, just gives us an opportunity to have a lot of compassion on our kids and on ourselves. So once we've kind of become aware of how we're feeling and become aware of why that might be, there could be a million reasons how we're feeling, then we want to affirm the feelings. So it'd be like, oh, I feel so frustrated, and it's because I'm exhausted, and it's because I haven't had a break, and it's because I didn't drink any water yet today, and it's because I have this really triggered feeling of, all of this whining because it's really annoying. And I remember when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to do that, and I got told to go to my room, and all of these things start coming up. So affirming your feelings and having compassion on yourself are so huge. So this feels hard because it is hard. That's something I tell myself a lot. This feels hard because it is hard. And start expressing how you're feeling. So that you can just say out loud, I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling angry and I need to regulate myself is something I tell my kids. And it's okay to feel however you feel, okay? It's human. If you lost your cool on your kids today, congratulations, you're human. It doesn't make you a bad mom. It doesn't mean that you're not doing amazing things. It means we all have those days, and we all have a lot going on, and we all have stress. And when we do react in a way that is not how we wanted to react, out of anger, out of frustration, and we're yelling and we're afraid of that we're causing harm to our kids, that is an opportunity to practice self-compassion and showing our kids how to apologize and repair our relationship after we make mistakes. Because honestly, we're adults. I'm 35 and I make mistakes. I yell sometimes. I treat people the way I don't want to treat them sometimes. And so I, at 35, am still practicing treating other people how I want to be treated. And this is how I repair the relationship after I made a mistake. And that's something we want our kids to be able to know too, right? We want to know that they are forgiven when they make a mistake, and that they can repair the relationship, and that they are still loved after they make a mistake, and that they have the power to, repair things after that. So that's super, super powerful. It is okay to feel however you feel, and we can learn and heal from our feelings I have a whole video coming on what we can learn from anxiety, what we can learn from anger, what we can learn from mom guilt, what we can learn from resentment. So that will be in a later video. So once we have kind of built awareness around our triggers and when we're feeling triggered, then we affirm how we're feeling, affirm how difficult it is, and give ourselves compassion. Then we're going to move energy out of our body and start regulating our nervous system. So we can move that energy and start regulating our nervous system by doing jumping jacks if we're angry. Some people do intuitive movement and dance to move that energy out of their body, and that's a really cool way, I think, to for kids too to regulate. We do that. We turn on and have music and dance parties, and it's so cool. You can have a workout or go for a run. I use EFT tapping so much. I use rants as well, which is EFT tapping and like verbally saying how you feel, what all your frustrations, what is going on mentally for me and getting it out is so powerful. Using affirmations like I am safe, I am loved, those kind of things can be really good. Breathing exercises, huge, so powerful. There's so many studies about how that triggers and activates the vagus nerve and that parasympathetic nervous system. If you're feeling a lot of anger and a lot of that big energy that needs to come out, you can do some punching the air, punching pillows, throwing socks. And there's cool studies done about how you can activate the vagus nerve using cold water plunging and stuff. I haven't gotten to like the full body plunging or cold showers, but I splash cold water in my face. That's super cool. Also, getting outside is a great way to regulate your kids or yourself. There, and then once you've practiced those things with your kids, we can start, doing it. The fourth step is once we've practiced it and started doing it with ourselves, then we can regulate with our kids. And once we've talked about this more and more and more, our kids start supporting us in the journey, and they start recognizing, this, I need to calm down, I need to do this. So I'm going to share some of my favorite books for emotional intelligence with kids and share some activities as well that'll be super powerful for you to use with your kids. As far as like building awareness for kids, giving them vocabulary to talk about different emotions, giving them strategies to use, and building conversations around it, because the more we can talk about it and normalize different feelings and how we can experience different feelings and how we can process them is really going to support our kids. So I'll definitely share those with you. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. That was a lot in our video this week. So yeah, we talked about the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest, which we want to start practicing and using more, and that when we are regulating our nervous system, that's the one we want to activate. And then the sympathetic nervous system, which is working for us, scanning for danger, but is often, overactive, and we want to start calming it down. All right, so that's what we're doing when we're regulating. And we talked about different ways that kind of taxes our nervous system and causes that sympathetic nervous system to get crazy. And then we talked about how it affects our parenting. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you in the group. And if you need any support, I'm always available in the Voxer chat. So message me anytime. Bye.